Welcome, everybody, to our progressive town hall for October 12th, 2025. And today we are super excited to have one of the up and coming superstars of American politics joining us, somebody whose name we're all going to hear about over the next 2 months as her campaign gains greater and greater momentum with PDA and PDAers from around the country, going to northern Tennessee and middle Tennessee and knocking on doors and making phone calls from wherever they are to support person who is our featured guest this week, Aftyn Behn. And if Aftyn Behn is able to win the special election to replace Representative Mark Green on December 2nd, 2025, it will be the greatest setback to the Trump 2.0 administration to date, singularly. Nothing else will even rival it. Okay. So we have an opportunity right now to achieve history, and history on two fronts. In my opinion, actually, the even more significant history. And Aftyn will be joining us in a few minutes here. I want to maybe say this when she's present as well. So I'll repeat this, but it's worth repeating, folks, that on December 2nd, if we win this election, two fronts here. The one, and hyper significant one, but I would say is not quite as significant as the other, is the blow it would represent to Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. It would take a very thin House majority of 220, 215, and the seat in Texas is finally being filled. So without Alita Grijalva someday being sworn in, the new congressman from Texas as well, we'll have 215 Democrats back to what was the result on election day.
Alan, I hate
Absolutely.
to interrupt. Do you mean to have your camera off?
Oh no, I don't. Thank you, Mike Fox. That's very
Yes,
important.
sir.
No, I know that people right now are all wishing that I had my camera off.
Yeah.
I'm slightly under the weather, so I look a little worse for wear. But can you all see me now, Mike? Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Well, God bless. I hope I look okay. And
You look fine, Alan. You look good.
a nice sharp blue t-shirt. Thank you so much. You're very kind. And so Aftyn Behn on December 2nd, 2025, if Aftyn Behn can defeat the now Republican nominee Mike Van Epps in a seat that is a gerrymandered seat, that Donald Trump and Rep. Green won 61 to 39. They both did. Now remember, in a state like Tennessee, the Republican results were very good. Trump in 2026 had coattails, so to speak. Even though I think he got fewer votes than he did even back in 2020. But that's because of the amount of people who voted because of all the mail-in ballots that were made accessible during COVID. The COVID race had the highest turnout ever in a presidential race. Joe Biden has received more votes than any presidential candidate in history from 2020. So nonetheless, in terms of the splits, obviously Kamala Harris did very poorly in Tennessee. Donald Trump did very well, and a 22% split. Previously, the district had been about an 18% split, so 59-41. And around the country, Democrats have been exceeding a 10% gain in special elections. So as you can see right there, you would have enough arithmetic for the Democratic candidate to jump ahead. Now, it is true that the Republicans are going to spend big in this race. Nonetheless, on the turnout for the primary that just happened in Aftyn won, and there were four leading Democratic candidates, and the Republican race was very peculiar because it was considered very close between the candidates, and then Trump announced who he was supporting, and that shifted the whole thing over to the guy who won. But the split was under 55-45, so it was more like 54.5 to 45.5. It's about a 9-point split. And that's without independents coming in, and it's also reflective of the huge gap between registered Republicans and Democrats. But clearly, more Democrats turned out, more enthusiasm with the Democratic vote, already evident there. So this is a winnable race, folks. Back to the two main points. The first I've already hinted at, which is it'll be a huge defeat for Donald Trump. We have had no swings in any special elections. This race happened because Mark Green had enough integrity, for whatever logic he felt, informed his vote to vote against the big beautiful bill, and when he did, he instantly resigned, and that's hence we have the special election. And so if Aftyn wins, it'll be an incredible blow to MAGA and Donald Trump. But the second point, And the point that I would say over the long term is even more significant. Now, the Republican Party, if Aftyn wins, will look at the seat and believe that she's vulnerable to lose the next year. I question whether that will be the case because the country's going to learn about Aftyn Behn. And this is something that we at PDA have been working for the past few years, which is to absolutely transform the way that the Democratic Party communicates with Americans in rural and small towns, in rural areas and small towns. Hence our big focus on the Rural New Deal. We believe that progressives have the best policies for people living in rural America and small town America. We believe that the social contract has not been good for Americans living in um, somebody said that about the Mark Green vote. Mark Green voted against a measure that was in the lead up to the bill itself. And it was when he did that, there was a procedural vote. And it was at that point that he was considered persona non grata by the Trump people anymore, and he was going to leave Congress instantly because of that vote. So sorry for the clarification. Somebody had put a note in the chat. Okay, going back to it, in rural America and small town America. This is, by the way, we put the chat off when we have the featured guests on, which we will again do when Aftyn is speaking, because it is so distracting when you see the little chat messages pop up, and that happens with our guests sometimes. So we are going to be turning the chat off when Aftyn is with us. We'll be turning it back on after that. Later, by the way, in the show, we'll be talking about the upcoming No Kings event next Saturday, encouraging everybody to attend. That is a hugely important thing. In fact, the turnout on No Kings in advance of Aftyn's victory and Zohran Mamdani's victory, hopefully on November 4th, we will have the No Kings demonstrations are probably the most powerful message from the country against the Donald Trump and MAGA administrations we've had to date, and we'll have again next Saturday. So we'll be hearing about that. But again, Aftyn Behn represents a transformative figure within the Democratic Party, and specifically for rural and small town America, for a progressive message to get out different, substantively different than the message that has been delivered by mains. And I'm sorry if anybody here is a little bit more of a moderate leaning Democrat and doesn't like hearing criticisms of the, Nancy Pelosi. Let's face it, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries' block of the Democratic Party, they have all but abandoned rural and small town Americans. They don't even compete there. They don't present anything new, and they're thought of as not representing anything that really is responsive to the needs of the people who live there in any kind of transformative way. And who is very popular in rural and small town America? Bernie Sanders. And who is Aftyn Behn reflective of in terms of policy? Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders and Aftyn Behn's policies will have a true champion across all of rural America. Of course, there are representatives who are Democrats in rural America. For instance, the statewide congressional representative in Vermont, a lot of agriculture in Vermont, a lot of small towns, rural areas in Vermont. But it's Vermont. In red state rural America, red state small town America, it's gotten to the point where there is virtually no Democrats representing majority rural small town districts. That's like a zero, folks. And more than that, none of them are from the progressive wing of the party. So we really have, there's a few exceptions here and there, but barely. And oftentimes they're not quite of the progressive legacy candidates who hold spaces that are maybe split 50-50, but they are able to hang on. But again, it's almost a complete void. And we came close with Jamie McLeod Skinner up in Oregon, and she barely lost 2 cycles ago. And now we have a chance to win here. And Aftyn Behn, as you're about to see, is absolutely amazing. So we're going to see that, hear from Aftyn in a minute. First, Mike Fox, you're up with our PDA to-dos for this week.
And can you hear me?
I can. And even see you. Yeah.
Yeah, my camera's being wonky here, possibly. Yeah, it's being wonky. There we go. My apologies, gang. Technology is not my friend. Actually, yeah, it's going on and off here. So I'm just going to show solidarity with all of our brothers and sisters who do not have video up right now. And we'll just get straight to the to-dos. To-do number 1, as always, revel in the fact that you're surrounded by people who get it. Okay, the camera is now working. All right. Each and every Sunday, gang, after what is often these days a pretty tough week from a policy standpoint out there, right? There's no question. We all recognize tough times. We aren't Pollyanna here at PDA about that. We are facing the single most challenging time in our lifetimes, definitely, and possibly since the Civil War. So, with that in mind, however, we have to stay focused on, all right, now how are we going to change it? Because, gang, the folks on this call, this community, that's our job. It's going to be up to us, right? And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is if we're sticking together as a community, showing solidarity with each other, showing love for each other, always leading with love in our hearts, even in a dark time. And this is the place to do that every Sunday. Revel in the fact that you're surrounded by people who get it. My apologies for the mask. It's a long story, doctor's orders, but the whole reason why I say that is I want to thank you personally, yes, you, for making me healthier just by being here. Makes me cry. So, candidly, gang, every Sunday we're here as a community, supporting each other. Okay. So, and unlike the other national organizations out there, whenever there's a meeting like this, vast majority of them, we don't have an open chat, and there isn't a whole bunch of questions being asked and et cetera, engagement going on. Here at PDA, we want that happening. All we ask in return is let's keep it positive, right? Before you start typing, just ask yourself, is this going to help build the movement? Is what I'm about to say going to be inspirational or divisive? Okay, just please think that through, and let's try to keep everything that we do on this call positive, positive, positive reinforcement for each other. We have so many in our community right now. I'm so privileged, as it were, that there are some boxes in my life that aren't checked, that a lot of our brothers and sisters check. And simply because they check it, they are targets. So it's our job to protect them and build each other up for this. Okay. So I thank you for being here. I thank you for that energy that you bring. And now to do number two. And Michael, we'll get to questions and comments here in a little bit. When Alan asks for them, it'll happen. Thank you. To do number two, take notes, gang, please. We all get lazy, as it were, by thinking, okay, got everything in the chat. But that chat is a great big fat blob of information, kind of hard to work with, right? If you save it. So my ask of you is literally take notes. I've got my clipboard. Well, the camera doesn't want to take it, of course. In any event, I got a clipboard and a pen because I'm a Luddite. But in any event, however you can take some notes, please do. And let's act upon them, okay? So end of pitch there, getting to the core. Time, treasure, the two ways that we make something happen here, right? From a time standpoint, phone bank, phone bank, phone bank, phone bank. Did I mention phone bank? Okay, and if you are a phone banker, please toss in the chat that you're a phone banker and let folks know why, so we can throw some love at you, number one, and number two, so others will become inspired to show solidarity with you, okay? And it's pdamerica.org/volunteer. Boom, give us an hour. That's all we're looking for. And you're talking to like-minded individuals. You're calling up fellow PDA folks, okay? So that's to do number one. To do number two, from a time standpoint, as Alan had mentioned, no kings, no kings, no kings. I tossed the link into the chat, and or you can just Google that, no kings, and you'll find a big old map with all the events taking place, over 2,500 of them, and it's growing as we speak. Find out where you can participate, and please do. We'll go into a deep dive on the back end of this on special things that we'll be doing for our PDA members who are actually helping to organize those local events. Okay, so stay tuned for that. And then we got other to-dos as well. I'll toss a link into the chat to our standard to-do list. It just gets lengthy and I need to shut up here. Just keep your eyeballs peeled on the chat. Lastly, treasure. That's the second half. Time. Yeah.
Can we do treasure as a split with Aftyn right now?
Sure.
Yes, let's do that.
Most definitely.
Our PDA endorsed candidate about to join us. The inspiration for the country and the world at the moment, Aftyn Behn, along with the sort of guy in New York and a few other people around, but certainly newly added to that elite list. And let's all pitch in right now. Split a donation for PDA and Aftyn Behn, and the link that's going to come through that Mike's going to put into the chat. And we hit the phone banks. We grow everybody to support this campaign, and we're going to do this like we do for nothing ever, because this is a hugely important, historically significant special election coming up on December 2nd. So give right now when you can. If you're going to give $5, give 10. If you're going to give 20, give 30. If you're going to give 100, give 125. And all of it will be split between Aftyn Behn and PDA. Direct to her campaign, to us. That's the way it works on these great Act Blue splits. So yeah, folks, give if you can. And Mike, your final word before we introduce Aftyn.
My final word is I got to get Aftyn co-hosted here. Sorry, Aftyn, I was multitasking poorly. I'll get her co-hosted and we'll get cranking. Back to you.
I think your multitasking was the evidence is apparent to everyone because you were speaking live on camera. So indeed, we trust that excuse. It wasn't the dog ate the homework kind of excuse. And somebody who doesn't have to make any excuses is about to join us, Aftyn Behn. And I just got I think Aftyn's been on twice already. This is her third appearance at PDA's Sunday Town Hall. And by the way, you should probably think about some midweek event sometime a few weeks before the election where we partner with people and get a really huge thing going for Aftyn Behn. We got to get everybody in the country aware of this. But at the same time, what's also most important is we got to reach people in the district, get people in the district over here talking about it. And but the other night on Tuesday night, I'll say this, I punched up the New York Times, which had always does pretty good in updating its elections. And there was the special elections Democratic Party page, and it was a really close 4-person race. And I was like, oh, Aftyn Behn's got to win. Aftyn Behn's got to win. And, obviously I'm not interested in talking to Aftyn Behn about this as a horse race or a sports competition. But as Aftyn moved into first and then moved further and further ahead, it's baseball playoff season. I'm a big baseball fan. Okay, my team's not in the playoffs this year. But man, I was excited as I could ever be. And it's so much more important than a sports result, folks. We all know that. And it was absolutely exhilarating. So, Aftyn Behn, welcome. Are you able to speak and join us yet?
A little bit of a technological challenge going on here, Alan. Aftyn, if you can raise your hand, we can get you co-hosted. Is it possible that her technology crashed on that end?
There we go.
Mike,
she just raised
There
her
we
hand.
go. Rep Aftyn Behn. There you are. Hold on, Aftyn. I'm coming. I promise. I got to get to rep. This is alphabetized here, and I was looking for Aftyn.
Been thinking a lot more about Middle Tennessee.
Aftyn, go ahead. You should be able to unmute now. I don't understand what the challenge is with the camera.
I can, but I need you to enable my video.
Yep, I'm looking for the spot to make that happen, sister.
See, this is even more live production than you ever get. Everybody, I worked for years in radio, and people would be so upset when they'd have a half a second blip on a, they'd come off of their show and they were so upset about this one thing. And I watched a lot of BBC in my time. I'm like, this happens on BBC all the time. They're trying to talk to somebody around the world and it doesn't connect. So, enabling video. How you doing, Aftyn Behn?
Be able to do that now, Aftyn.
There
There
we
we go. Yeah, there we
Hot
go. All
dog.
right. There we go.
That's all Mike Fox, the old Ludite's fault. I apologize, and I apologize to the candidate as well. Hoorah.
And Mike, on another town hall, we'll have a debate as whether that's pronounced Luddite or Luddite. Because to me, it's always been Luddite, but we'll
Fair
see.
enough.
Okay. Well, Aftyn Behn, how are you doing? And what? First of all, this is a really banal question to start, but one way to humanize you, as it were, since you're now a national celebrity of the highest order. What was Tuesday night like for you? How did that feel?
My campaign manager and I were reminiscing about Tuesday night. I mean, it was really, we were just so mechanical because you have to be in a congressional primary. And so it was just like, okay, the to-do list, the to-do list. And then I remember my parents came in from Knoxville, and they drove me to the election night watch party. And I remember being in the backseat looking at the early returns. And as you intimated, Alan, like it was one candidate and then another and then another. So I just like my stomach dropped and I thought, you know what, I just got to go in. All these people are here. We had people from all across the state join us. And so I walked in and of course, like the music was going and, I kind of like regenerated a lot of that energy. And then throughout the night, it was just, it was really back and forth. But then we realized that we had come in second in Montgomery County, which is a core county for us. It was where we were holding our election night watch party. And then we were up 1,000 votes and I was getting the calls from the other men in the race to concede. And here we are.
My sense, a little bit of a horse race question, since I have my sense about a race like this, a special election. Now, it's going to get a lot of attention. Now, and by the way, so that people know, when you go to what's the Open Secrets site, and you look at how much money was raised now by Aftyn's opponent and Aftyn, it'll only seem like a 2-to-1 split. But he was receiving what, $2 million roughly dollars of dark money support in the background?
Yes.
And that's
yes.
which I think was more than all other candidates, himself included, raised otherwise.
Yes.
So
yes.
so that's what you're up against. But at the same time, if any one of your sort of multiple possible core constituencies really, really gets enthusiastic about your campaign, that alone can lift you to victory in a special election, right? Because there's no president running. The numbers are much more depressed, even though.
Yeah, and just some background for your listeners. So the context is this is the last flippable district in the entire country. Independent polling is showing us within 2 points of the generic Republican. This is also important for releasing the Epstein files because, as you know, Speaker Johnson is withholding the credentialing of Alita Grijalva, who you all supported in her primary as well. And the reason they are doing that is because they think a Republican's going to win this race. And so it'll basically cancel her vote. So it's really important for national politics, but it's also obviously a bellwether for 2026. In terms of the makeup of the district, Republicans got really greedy and they cut Nashville into 3 congressional districts, obviously all gerrymandered. And so you have the highest turnout places in Nashville and then Montgomery County, which is our purple kind of bellwether canary in the coal mine for Democrats in the state. And so it does contain kind of 3 major counties of which Democrats get out to vote. Then we could actually flip some of these counties. And then finally, I'll say, you always hear Democrats in disarray. The Republicans are in utter disarray. The Republican primary was pretty brutal. Alan said that there was a lot of special interest money spent, especially against one of my Republican counterparts in the legislature. And he actually posted on his Facebook page that if the bickering doesn't stop, that his supporters, people will stay home or his people will support me. So it's, the girls are fighting, which we'll take advantage of it. Absolutely. But we're super excited. We spent the last few days getting everything ready. We want to make sure we have a strong launch for, all the distributed programming, but this will be the race to watch in the entire country this fall.
Certainly a dynamic political moment where Marjorie Taylor Greene on successive issues seems closer to Ro Khanna than Donald Trump. There's shifting going on. And if I'm correct, I believe to some of the Republican base, they disdain your opponent as the Tennessee Fauci without us talking about, well, we all think about Fauci. That was a tag that they hung on him. So as we can see, there's folks out there, there's a possible split here. Before you got on, actually, I was talking about the historical significance of this race, and I put it 2 ways. First of all, I would think, and I said a little while shorter in my intro, that the No Kings demonstrations to date, and now on Saturday, have probably been the most powerful rejoinder to Trump 2.0 to date. That your election in this special election would even jump over that and be the greatest and most significant blow to Trump 2.0 to date. Hence, we're undoubtedly going to see a lot of dark money supporting your opponent. But nonetheless, that holds, and it's going to be an amazing bellwether. But I said, and I feel even more importantly, your election would signify something for us at PDA, a shift for the Democratic Party to witness that progressive candidates have traction in small town and rural America, unlike the corporatist Democrats have had. So your thoughts on maybe that second point as you reach out beyond Nashville to campaign in this election?
Yeah, so I was the only Democrat that didn't take, nor has ever taken corporate PAC money, nor was a corporate lobbyist. There was a Democrat in the race that was cosplaying as a corporate lobbyist, but or cosplaying as a progressive, but as a corporate lobbyist. But I was the only one. There were multiple times on the campaign trail where I stopped at what would be considered conservative bastions in the district and talked to Trump supporters. I mean, you can't organize in a state like Tennessee and kind of isolate yourself from the majority of voters. And what reigned true and what was the kind of thread that we shared was one against corporate rule and corporate oligarchy. And those were words that the Trump supporters were using. And so, it was kind of fun for me to play like, well, would you pull a Democratic ballot and vote for me? And then the other thing that happened, which I thought was really interesting, we were at a polling place in Clarksville, and this conservative kind of biblical looking couple with a cross, she was pregnant. And they said, well, we're going in to vote for the Republican candidate. And so my friend who I think is on this call and I were trying to convince them to vote for me. And they're walking in, we're like, so what is your number one issue? And they said, don't give another penny to Israel, as they walked into the voting booth. And so it was just kind of a jarring moment to realize, like, and I say this again and again in Tennessee, like the plurality of the American voter never ceases to amaze me. And I think this is a race about what is the coalition of the disillusioned? Who is the coalition of we are tired and frustrated? The coalition of people who want to believe that the system, who believe the system isn't working and that I'm the candidate to disrupt the status quo. And so if we can continue to build that coalition, then we'll have the winning coalition to flip this on December 2nd.
And the reason that I said, and when I was talking earlier, that I feel even more significant your ascendancy as a national political figure and your victory on December 2nd will be for the Democratic Party is that you will signify the power of that to the Democratic Party, that we do not need mainstream corporatist, lobby-laden Democrats running in these districts. We need real people from the people of the people like yourself. And that, if you look at rural and small town America, right, there's not satisfaction with the trajectory of the society. And you have almost single party rule from the Republicans. When you have that equation just right there, that means an opposition party should be able, but they're only going to be able when they have candidates like yourself. And of course, famously, Bernie Sanders did well in rural and small town America, really connected with people there. Yeah, by the way, I do want to say, and I'd be remiss if I didn't, with Katie, your campaign manager yourself, there's some folks who've done some great work in small and rural town organizing who want to get in touch with your campaign. I'll set that up in the next few days. Is that good? A fantastic researcher named Mike Lux wants to maybe connect with you, and he's a great guy with all sorts of great connections.
Yeah, and I'll say we've got the best national team. This is, I think, I hate the binary and the good versus evil, but this is truly the dark side versus our side. They've got dark money. They've got kind of it's turtles all the way down on their side. And I do think that there are discrepancies within their political project that we can leverage and weaponize against them. And then my team is fantastic. I just want to shout out Kate who's I know joined these calls. We've been organizing partners. She was when I was arrested, we were both arrested the same legislative session together in Tennessee in 2019, protesting a now Speaker of the House who's serving federal time for corruption. But we've been grassroots through and through, and we'll just continue to keep the momentum up. But we'll have national distributed. I know you do phone banks here, but we'll also have distributed options. If you want to come down to Tennessee, we'll have canvassing options as well. But the whole goal of this race is to put Tennessee back on the national map. When Phil Bredesen lost our Senate race in 2018, we lost the national spotlight and national investment, and this is a chance to show that the South has something to say, and the South isn't going away.
Well, and that your politics, your political economics are the political economics that are embraced by the masses of Tennesseans across the country. I mean, nobody thinks of the 1% being located in rural and small town Tennessee, right?
Yeah, and I think, I was the campaign director for group ruralorganizing.org, and we helped, with successful ballot referendums in Montana and Ohio to codify reproductive access. What we've learned is that rural voters are wildly populist. They're not moderate in any way. They're wildly populist. And I think those two kind of get intertwined. But they hate corruption. They hate, they're economic populists. They believe in corporations that, you're holding them accountable. And so that's definitely something I'm going to tap into. And I'm hoping, because I'm the first one on the ballot, and I'll just be railing on my Republican opponent, Matt Van Epstein, is how he's being called. I'm trying to make it happen, but he's been bought and sold by special interests
Yeah.
and Trump and the governor. And what I'll say is, I represent the interests of Tennesseans, not any one individual, no puppet master, and no corporate PAC.
And he's like an establishment sort of Republican figure, right? He doesn't really have a populist
I mean, before this race, he was very moderate.
Yeah.
He went to UNC. He's been in the army and the military, but of course, you've got to run right. And so he did, and he got the nomination, which is what sealed his success in this race. But I think we're seeing, and this is what the polling is showing, is that there is kind of a fracture in the Trump coalition, and that people really don't want you running with Trump. They want you to stand, Republicans want you to stand with Trump when he's doing something right, but they want you to stand up for their interest when he's not. And I don't see that in his candidacy.
Sorry, this could be a little bit of a difficult question, but just so that we can be informed about it. Is there unity in the Democratic Party? Have your opponents all embraced? There's no distancing. They've all embraced, right?
Yeah, we had a big unity breakfast on Thursday, and I'm very grateful, for all of them. It was a really tough primary. We all had different theories of change, which I thought was really beautiful. And that, we were out hustling in these rural areas with 80 Democrats, right? And I'd like to highlight that because of the Democratic primary, our turnout was 38% more than 2024, as opposed to the Republicans, which was 15% more. So we are seeing, this is endemic across these congressional races. We're seeing massive turnout from Democrats. And I think as things continue to deteriorate at the federal level, that hopefully people will see themselves in a candidate and a candidacy like mine.
And folks, if everybody wants to get on stack, they can raise their hand for a question for Aftyn Behn. And how much time do you have for us, Aftyn, right now?
I'm good until probably, 45.
Okay, great. And there we go. Right away. Let's go to Carly Faines, and please unmute Carly and your question for, again, member of the state legislature in Tennessee and a candidate for. Go ahead, Carly.
Hey, Aftyn, I had to ask, have you met XP Lee from Minnesota? He won his election to fill in Melissa Hortman's spot. If you do get a chance to talk to him, what do you think? What do you think you two might be able to cooperate with? One thing I want to see is action against the national food waste crisis.
I haven't been able to connect with him yet, but if you have his contact, I'm interested. Obviously Minnesota is very different, but I think there's just this kind of new crop of Democratic leadership that we're all excited to not only run at this moment in time, but to organize as a cohort together. So I'd be happy to learn more about him.
Thank you, Carly. And Dorothy Wright, please unmute.
Hi. So do you think the invasion of Memphis by National Guard troops is going to have any effect on the rural voters? Do you think they're going to like that or not like that? And also, I just want to make one comment. I don't believe that Congress is going to open until they find one of the 4 Republicans to take his name off the discharge petition. Otherwise, this Congress is never going to open. Because Grahal will be the 218th vote, and they can't open the Congress then.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speculate. It wouldn't surprise me. I think with the National Guard, I can drop my, I wrote an op-ed that was published in our local paper, the Tennessean, about how the National Guard should be used to prepare for climate disasters, not for political stunts. And so that's been my position from day one. I've actually had a lot of National Guard members in Tennessee that have been reaching out, not wanting to participate. Memphis, our Tennessee communities have issues, but it's not the federal government or the state government's their issue to solve. It should be solved by local people solving local problems with local solutions.
Thank you for that, Dorothy. I'm going to ask you a question about the district. If you're looking at a map of Tennessee, right, the way they gerrymandered this district is it sort of goes west of Nashville and the part of Nashville that then goes out to the west and then goes down the whole state, right?
Yeah, so if you're looking at a map of Tennessee, we're a
Right.
very long state. It takes 8 hours to get from left to right, but it's they've basically cut Davidson County and Williamson County in half. So everything to the left is in CD7, all the way up to the Kentucky border, and that's Montgomery County, and then all the way down where Fort
Right.
Campbell is, and then all the way down to the Alabama border, which is Wayne County.
And how much of the district population is, say, if you take that whole swath of rural Tennessee all the way down to the southern border of the state, that's relatively sparsely populated?
The population density is basically, if you split the district in half, it's all north. So the rural counties below have, a lot less people, because there's counties that are adjacent to Nashville where people can drive in and use our airport. And so the population is consolidated within a few counties.
But you'll be campaigning across the entire district. And I suppose I was going to lead towards one question related to Nashville, but I'm excited to see what your turnout will be in all the rural areas. I wish I could be there. I wish I could be just tracking the thing as a journalist or as a campaign worker. I'm thrilled by your race.
Oh, it's
So on
going
the
to
one,
be, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. The other thing I'll say about the primary is we only won one county, but it showed, and this was what our senior advisors said, they haven't seen anything like it, where I have such wide appeal and mass appeal across the district, so that's how we won, even though I'm not a regional candidate, right? I'm not going to turn out a bunch of voters just in Nashville. I'm going to turn out voters all across the district to win. And so it was the same theory of change that we're going to leverage for the general.
and Melissa and Edie, I'll get your question in a second, but here's what I was thinking about. I know Austin, Texas. I don't know Nashville. And the clique of people who sort of play like alt country music in Texas, they've become increasingly drawn. They used to be so apolitical going back decades, and they've now drawn into accepting that they're part of like an oppositional politics. Is it possible that the Nashville music community will get motivated politically and get fully behind this? Because I really think they should. And what does that feel like talking to that crowd of people? And is that part of Nashville in your district?
Yeah, so I've got a few, yes. So we're gonna have a music venue organizer. There are a lot of active musicians. I think it's kind of often difficult for them to find ways to plug in. But we plan to make that easier, and hopefully we'll get some national support. The other issue that I've talked about on this call previously is the privatization of TVA, which seems to be ramping up. So I'm hoping I can get some musicians on board to leverage this congressional race to push back on that and use their talents to do so.
And is it possible still to register to vote if you haven't registered to vote for the December 2nd election?
Yes, you can still register, which the other, everything's just going to be so quick. So we're trying to do as much as possible. But yes, you would be able to register, and I'll put those dates in the chat.
Great. And good. Yeah, please, if you could, because one of the things we'll be doing, of course, is, you're going to be, on equal balance with the California Prop 50, the New Jersey, Virginia, and Zohran Mamdani race, and a few other races in the country. But obviously the day after that, we're going to try to draw all of everybody who can draw support for you in the country over to your race. So depending on when that registration date is, we'll get that out before November 4th or the days leading up to it to try to get as many people registered as possible. Melissa Richardson, your question for Aftyn Behn.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. Congratulations on your primary. My quick question is, will you be doing any virtual phone banking?
Yes, we will. So we're going to have a distributed field person that's managing that. And hopefully that'll be ongoing. And you also have the opportunity to phone bank with PDA. But if you want to phone bank every day, hopefully we'll provide those options, as we've only got a short window to get
Are
this.
you phone banking now?
We are getting all of our ducks in a row, and thank you to all the support. I've been so inundated, as has Kate, and we're just so grateful. But our thing is that we want to make sure that everything is locked down and tight as possible, so that so we're going to launch probably next week.
And where can I sign up to be part of your campaign virtually?
I love that. I'm going to drop it in the chat, and there should be an out-of-state volunteer option for this link that you click. There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. Edie, you're up next, and then we're going to go to Saeed. Edie?
Hi.
Hi.
My question was, I have a couple people that I know that live in Nashville. At least they told me that district is pretty democratic. Do you think that'll help you when you in the election?
Yeah, so
Thank you for the question, Edie. Yep.
Yeah, so the district was heavily Democratic and they cut it into 3 and they got really greedy, which is why we have a chance to flip this one that was an R+18 district last year. So it is, you know, competitive just because, you know, we've seen historic turnout from Democrats, and the type of people that you need to turn out are in Nashville and Montgomery County and Franklin and Williamson County, where I have a lot of base. So it is not impossible, right? But if we do flip this, it'll be heard around the country and the world, like Doug Jones in 2020. I'm sure you all remember where you were in that moment.
Oh, I think it's that was a whole Senate seat, but I think this is as big or bigger than that. I mean, I really do. So, and now that Doug Jones, who's you know, we did some work with his office when he was there, and he was a agreeable guy, and we had some good work done with him. But you're fantastic, and I think you're a game changer. But that's just we'll keep that on the down low for now. Saeed Raza, you're up.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm just so impressed and inspired by you. You give us confidence that we have a credible path to get progressive candidates to win all over America. We at Elite, we campaign for Raquel, Turan, and Adelita here in Arizona. And Adelita actually told us, and staff actually told us that without us, she could not have won. So I hope you can reach out to Adelita and work together. And your comment that conservative couple would not give a penny to Israel also resonated with me. And I and others would probably want to do grassroots campaigning for you. Because I think that's what makes the difference with genuine volunteers, with a genuine message to the electorate. I'll leave it at that. And thank you so very much for what all you've done.
Thank you so much. And I remember you from the past call. And so it really means a lot. And however many calls you made in my primary made all the difference. 1,000 votes worth. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. What do you anticipate the attacks will be from Van Epps?
Oh my gosh. Oh, she takes insert X talking point across state lines for X talking point. But what's funny is that our senior advisor said that I've done so much that they don't agree with, that it's really hard for them to pin me down, which I think is so true. And, you know, my brand, because I've kind of divorced myself from a lot of kind of the celebrity politicians in Tennessee, and I've wed myself to issues such as ending the grocery tax and pot for potholes, people really see me in the issues that I've supported rather than like the friends I keep. And I think that's really important because people want you to feel like you have their best interest at heart and not the interest of the party, or, you know, you have their best interest at heart.
You know, we at PDA deal with, and you may have to deal with, this kind of Stephen Miller, Donald Trump rhetoric around the quote unquote radical left and us being terrorists and dangerous people. And I've been doing a lot of interviews on this, and sometimes they're talking to print journalists who then don't take the quote that I'm about to cite. And of course, this is abject nonsense. We are in the progressive left the better angels of the American nation. I think you might have an opportunity to shoot that down, and it can reach national ears. So please remind people that we're in this as progressives to harm nobody and to really help everybody. And you know, so that I imagine might be coming your way. Francesca, please unmute. Francesca, there you go. Hi.
Thank you so much for your work. I was wondering, what is your stance, and I'm sorry if I missed this already, but what is your stance on the big Elon Musk AI Colossus impending presence in Memphis?
Yeah, so I've been his arch nemesis in Tennessee, besides Representative Pearson, who's done a great job organizing along with the Memphis community members against pollution group. But I've been against that from day one. I've spoken out against data centers. I have a great Substack dedicated to why the tech feudal lords are watching the South and using the South, and it's because of racial capitalism. I'll put the link in the chat, but it's an excellent Substack, and I was drawing connection between Memphis and why Musk was choosing Memphis. But I have been spoken out against it. Musk also, our state just handed him over a piece of land next to a historic Black church in downtown Nashville so he could drill a hole to the airport. And I've been his number one. And in fact, I said, like, over my dead body, this project's going to happen. So I've been outspoken against him. And, Tennessee is a state that is bought and sold to the highest bidder, including Elon Musk. And I'm hopefully will, continue to be his number one nemesis in the state.
I imagine that has tremendous traction among the population to have that kind of position. Michael Jerson, you're up. Please unmute.
Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Hello. Hey,
yes.
You guys rock. Behn, you rock. I just have some quick advice. Just remember, I'm a business person. I have 20 years commission sales experience. If we don't refund the ACA, if we cut housing, we cut food stamps, the economy slows. Business is going to get worse. People are not going to have money to buy a flat screen TV or buy more food or, even mortgage their car. So just remind that to everybody out there in the campaign trail that when the Democrats are in power, the business environment and the economy is better. Okay, so we're the party of conservatism, not the Republicans.
That's right.
Last Army vet. There's the biggest social program in the United States is a military-industrial complex. Look, I got housing, I got food stamp, I got food, I got medicine, I got take that for what it is too. This whole thing where government is the problem, like Ronald Reagan used to preach, is just nonsense. So just take that on the campaign trail. But you rock. It's good to see a young person getting down and getting elected. You're our future.
Oh,
you rock.
Thanks so much, Michael.
And if I can say, I saw Aftyn Behn. I, of course, clicked through the media clips, which, by the way, there were so few on Aftyn Behn just 3 weeks ago, and now there are a legion of them all across the country you can find. But right away on one of the Nashville reports, they said what they were going to campaign on, and right away you said support for small business, opposition to corporations, making sure that the funding for the ACA doesn't hit people hard in January. Yep. So you're exactly on Michael's points there. Yep. There you go. And we'll go to trying to go women, and go to Bonnie right now. Bonnie, you're up. Please unmute.
Hi. Aftyn, congratulations. I was really impressed when I heard you speak the first time. I didn't get to hear you the second time. My question relates to healthcare. I'm a retired nurse, and I think just about everybody on this call is just exasperated and very angry with HR 1 and how it's going to affect people's healthcare. I understand that you support Medicare for all, and would just like to know, first off, what do you plan to do to help kind of ameliorate the work requirements and so many people falling into not being covered? And also, how do you see yourself supporting and promoting universal health care?
Yeah, so I got my start as a Medicaid expansion organizer and was hired by the organization that was doing all the defense work in 2017. And so my start was actually in the 7th district talking to rural healthcare workers about the devastation of Medicaid cuts, which now is, feels like Groundhog Day. So there's still a lot of political education to do in the state. And, one of the reasons I wanted to run for this seat is to raise awareness about how Medicaid is a lifeline and is the lifeblood to a lot of rural communities and small towns. I mean, especially for municipal county budgets, for nursing homes. And so there's still a lot of political education to do. And that's why, I'm running, and then for next year as well. I think, would we be able to build a consensus or a coalition around universal healthcare? Not yet in Tennessee, but that's why we need an organizer in this seat so that we're able to politically educate, the state and then leverage the federal resources and structure of the legislative office to try to get, to build consensus around that.
Thank you. And Peter Hall, you're up next. Please unmute.
Okay, the problem you've got, like in rural America, is that they tend to be culturally conservative, but they're economically liberal. So the problem for Republicans win by focusing on culture. So how do you get the rural people to focus on economics and what you're going to do about their basic needs without completely dismissing their cultural concerns? I mean, you kind of have to show a little respect for the cultural concerns, but you want to get them to focus on, I'm going to take care of your basic needs, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, great question. I've gone on conservative talk radio routinely, and my go-to response, and you all should just learn it and say it again and again, is that immigrants are not the reason your grocery prices are high. I start with being I'm a social worker, and so I start with recognizing the fear and upset in people, with a lot of constituents I have that voted for Trump, and saying, listen, I know you're struggling. I know things are so hard right now, but it's not immigrants and trans kids that are making your life hard. They're not making you able to pay your mortgage, send your kids to good schools. That's not who is doing that. And so I think it's really been salient. I hope to leverage this congressional race platform to say it with my whole chest.
Yeah, no, thank you. Great answer. And of course, if you do have, if anybody digs it up for you and have an extra half an hour or an hour, Bernie Sanders' appearances on Fox News with audiences, the way he was able to win over those audiences on a message that completely just reflects what you said, were spectacular performances, as great as really any appearances I've ever seen Bernie had. And of course, we've seen thousands of them over here at PDA. Lois, you're up. Please, a question. And we have only active for about 7 more minutes, maybe at max. We're taking more of your time than you wanted, but it's that beautiful, beautiful sky behind you that's also just keeping us all glued to this. It looks beautiful in Tennessee today. Lois, you're up with that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that here in Massachusetts, we also are going to have a special election. Our representative that we have does not do town halls. He does not interact with the constituents. So he's being primaried by someone who will talk to us. So my suggestion is that you talk to voters in the street at protests. This person that is primarying our current representative is Richard Neal. The person that's primarying him is Jerome Whalen. And Jerome Whalen has been going to these local rallies and protests against, Trump. And he's been talking to us voters and sharing with us what he is going to do. So my suggestion is that you go to these rallies, protests, talk to people in chicken suits, and you'll be seen as someone, I think, who's on the side of the downtrodden.
Are you planning? Go ahead, Aftyn.
Well, I'm fully committed for the 18th. That's a whole other story. But no, that's typically what I do. I organized all of those protests. I was the indivisible organizer from 2017 to 2020, but I'll do you better. I canvassed a Walmart parking lot 2 days before the primary in the district. And I'll tell you, it was really eye-opening. People are hungry for change, and they love that politics are coming to them. And so I intend to do that for the general as well.
And I want to clarify for everybody, what you referred to, Lois, is a primary that will actually take place in Massachusetts. Their primaries are traditionally very late, around September 2026. Aftyn, and of course, Hartzell Gray, by the way, our candidate who's been on frequently here, PDA, was the national coordinator for Young Progressive Democrats of America. Before he announced that he's running for Congress, he is now, by the way, going to be in Missouri's 4th district. That has been clarified. But he's running in a primary. Aftyn's election is way before any primary in the country. It is a special election for a seat that has been vacated, that is empty right now, and it is on December 2nd. So it's up in front of everything other than the very few places like New Jersey, Virginia, New York City, and a special election in California on Prop 50 that's happened, that's competitive between the Republicans and Democrats. And really the only one of all of these special elections is competitive between the two parties, and a seat can be flipped. That is why this is so significant. And also the profile of the district makes it so unique and important, certainly from PDA's perspective. And I really think for the whole national discourse on politics in what is not only Democrats in the urban core and Republicans out across the country. This is a different kind of seat, and it can transform the whole way that we see so many races around the country. Tyler, you are up. Tyler Putnam, please, question for Aftyn Behn.
My main question, Aftyn Behn, what do you think if you get to Congress about the government shutdown?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because people are really struggling. And in fact, I have a friend who lives in public housing, and fortunately, they don't owe rent for the month of November, but who knows what's after that. And so people's lives are really at stake. However, I'm proud of the Democrats for fighting and standing up to ensure that healthcare is more affordable. But I think it's largely unpopular with both parties and on all voters, right? They just want government to be effective and to work. And unfortunately, you've got a coalition of people who want to shrink government and drown it in the bathtub, right? And that's the aftermath of when you elect people like that. So we need government that works for the people, by the people, always.
Heidi, we're going to take Heidi's question and then one more, and then everybody else on stack, stay on stack, and we'll talk with you right after the top of the hour. But Aftyn will have to go because Aftyn is a candidate for the U.S. Congress, and we must respect her time as she gets back out there and persuades the voters in Tennessee 7 to vote the right way, vote for Aftyn Behn. Heidi, you're up.
Yes, I would like to know what you are going to do to help bring back climate legislation and to help bring back, to help the climate and to help the infrastructure type ideas come back.
It's hard to say, yes, I dream big. Obviously I'm going to enter Congress and things are just going to be chaotic because of 2026, but I will tell you that I've been working with the labor trades in stopping the privatization of TVA. And there was a lot of, projects around, what should be called like economic patriotism, right? Making sure that we have these types of green projects, but that they're, labor's required, et cetera. So I think it looks really different in a state like Tennessee, but I've been endorsed by various climate groups in my state house race, and we'll continue that fight to Congress. But right now, I'm just trying to get through. Everything is so hypothetical. The real thing in front of me is literally 53 days to win this race.
Yeah, no, and look, yeah, if I can say, all the stuff, there's so many. By the way, PDA, Aftyn, we do many things, and one of the things we do is we lobby up on Capitol Hill through our 501c4. We have effectively written certain bills. One that we wrote, and we certainly are proud of, was Representative Earl Blumenauer's climate emergency resolution, right? Obviously, a huge organizing instrument for members of Congress to support climate emergency action. It wasn't even introduced this time, and we didn't even press to reintroduce it because Congress is insane right now. It's insanely shut down. What's so important right now is that Aftyn's election, and I believe that her voice will be elevated following that election to be very impactful once she's up on Congress, up on Capitol Hill, and she'll be able to coordinate and learn the way it works and everything, and have a real and powerful impact because her voice is going to be elevated. But right now, what's so important is having her win. Now, look, staff, I know that we've been Zoom bombed here, Aftyn, a few times. I'm pretty sure that Santa Claus is somebody who comes here frequently and not a Zoom bomber. So I'm at risk, everybody here, to call on Santa Claus for the final question for Aftyn Behn, and I don't think we're going to be dealing with a Zoom bomber. Santa Claus, please maybe use your regular name going forward, unless your real name is Santa Claus. Please, your question for Aftyn Behn.
Hi, Alan. Thank you, Aftyn. This is Santa Claus in North Pole, Alaska. I'm on City Council up here. I want to thank you. I'm kind of delighted that you are bringing your experience and skills and your good heart as a social worker to Congress. And also thank you for your advocacy for child health, safety, and welfare. Wishing you continued success with your campaign.
Thanks so much, Santa. Thank you.
Aftyn, let me ask you one final question. Just remind people, how did you respond? And what was the whole controversy around the representatives who were kicked out of the state assembly? And I believe you were part of their solidarity. And now one of the two gentlemen is running for primarying, running in Memphis, but they're fantastic young politicians. And it's my understanding they're ardent Aftyn Behn supporters. Is that correct?
We all organized together. So when the Tennessee 3 saga happened, I actually took a leave of absence from work for 12 days and helped organize all the protests. So I am excited to see that there's a generation of new leadership in the state You know, the good old boys club has been in power for a very long time. And so I'm just really excited that we've got like fresh faces that are willing to take some, pretty intense hits and put their faces forward. So yeah, I'll be following along his race. But this race is the most, important. It's the only flippable district in the entire country. And I'm just really excited to be in this race.
Thank you so much. We were asked about that by a number of people, so I thought I should ask that. But hey, look, Godspeed to Aftyn Behn, and we are going to do everything we can to get national mobilization to support you, to reach out to people into the district and persuade them as best we can to vote for you, to work for your campaign, and your final thoughts as we wrap today.
Yeah, just that I said this at a dinner on Friday night, but please don't accept criticism in this moment. Please don't accept cynicism. We are not cooked, as Gen Z likes to say, but we were made for this moment. And for those of us that have been organizing in deeply oppressive territories like Tennessee for the past 10 years, that this is a culminating moment for us. All of the work, all of the protests, all of the marches, rallies, phone banks, all of the losses, right? One must imagine that Sisyphus was happy rolling that giant boulder up the hill, and that's what it feels like in the South. But as W.E. Du Bois said, as goes the South, so goes the nation, and the entire country will be watching us. And I'm just so honored and grateful to be the Democratic nominee for this seat.
Look, let me just say, even as you say that, a third thing to think about in this election, I think you actually also really can turn on a generation of people who have, for very good reasons, often been turned off by politics. But to see someone who is so sharp, so together, so clearly concerned for the interests of the average household, the average person, not the power elite of this country, I think it's truly inspirational, Aftyn Behn. PDA is with you 100% times 100%. Let's win this thing on December 2nd. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll be back.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, folks, that's Aftyn Behn. And again, a reason to believe so much so in our way forward, in our time. I mean, as she says, this is the challenge that faces us, that faces her generation, that faces young people in America. And I think with a leader such as Aftyn, and the sense that this can be done, the can-do sense that this can be done right in America. The possibilities here are so great. If only we just, keep plugging away, keep going for it, knowing that there are these whole spaces out here in American society that haven't been organized by our political vision, our positive political vision hasn't been brought and delivered and introduced to people across the country. And that when it is, because it's a darn attractive vision for American society, people are going to be attracted to it. And that's going to change our political dynamics in this country. So Mike Olis, Mike Olis, you're the greatest. To bring Aftyn Behn into PDA in the way that you have, thank you so much for doing it. We're, of course, going to have an update now from Mike Fox, and then everybody stay on stack. We're going to hear from you. I'm going to take a little bit of a 2 or 3 minute break while Mike gives us our PDA to-dos updated at the top of the second hour. Then we're going to hear your thoughts about Aftyn, what Aftyn had to say, and whatever questions you want to bring up for about the next 45 minutes. And then we'll go to family time after that. So Mike Fox, you're up. And by the way, Mike is going to give us our PDA to-dos, and he's going to segue into one other subject that information we have to give out, which is information about No King's Day, which is next Saturday across the country. PDA is a co-sponsor of these demonstrations. So Mike Fox, take it away.
Cool. Just so we're clear, I'm clear, Alan. So I'm going to do to-dos, and I'm going straight into No Kings.
Yes.
And once I wrap that, back to you.
Right. Once you give the information on No Kings, and people can talk about No Kings, but I'll come back and MC that, and then you'll take over for family time in about 45 minutes. Okay?
Cool.
Perfect. Thanks.
Deal. Organizing on the fly. See, on our town hall Sundays, you not only get to connect with progressives, you get to actually be organizing on the fly. So part of that, my favorite job of the week, quick thank yous. The following people have donated, and I'm starting off with, wow, it just came in. Dr. McCain, thank you so much for your more than kind $250. And gang, it should be our goal as a group to match that kind donation. Thank you, Doctor. And any amount, gang, any amount. Then Veronica, Thank you. And Dorit and phone banker Heather double dipping. And Mary Elizabeth and phone banker Aaron double dipping. And phone banker Andrew double dipping. And Valerie, Quincy, phone banker Connie double dipping. Lisa, Joanne, Dr. Deutsch, double dipping Dr. Deutsch up in Western Pennsylvania, as always. Thank you, brother. And Edie and phone banker Beverly and double dipping, and Karen and Dr. Sonnenborn out in California double dipping as well, along with his California cohort Betsy double dipping, and Kathleen and Dr. Bill, the guy who started these town halls. Thank you for being here, brother, and thank you for your kind donation. And phone banker Bill and Lynn, Michael, David, Jim, Brother Russell, our chapter head up in Massachusetts. Good to see you, brother. And our chapter head in Missouri, Bob. Thank you, brother. And Dorothy, as always. Thank you, sister. And Kent. And phone banker Mary, phone banker Michael, Joseph, Leroy, phone banker Lois, phone banker Erica, Elizabeth, and phone banker Peggy, phone banker Jane, phone banker Peter, and Neil, and Dr. Sonneborn twice, and Dorothy twice. Bless you both. And Maxine, and Michael, and Bob twice. And as always, every week, Michael Shapiro. Thank you, Michael, up in Chicago. You rock. All right, gang, doing a wonderful job. Please do, if you have not yet donated, then please consider solidarity with the folks who I just named. All in the game, all of us, any amount, greatly appreciated. I'm going to make our personal goal right now to match that $250 as a crew. There's no question, as a crew, we can make that happen. So let's show some solidarity with the good doctor, and do whatever you can, $1, $5, $10, whatever. And then as far as our volunteering is concerned, I just want to, I'm up against the clock here, so let me just see how many we got. Okay, we're still about 10 short there of goal. Okay, so by all means, gang, jump on the phone. Go to pdamerica.org/volunteer. Give us an hour, pick a day. We'll make sure that it is productive. Doing what, you ask? Pushing folks out to vote, organizing local areas whenever events are taking place, et cetera, et cetera. It's easy, it's fun, and it's effective. Okay, so pile on, pdamerica.org/volunteer. Speaking of events, we will now segue into No Kings, No Kings. I'm pretty confident the majority of people on this call are aware of the whole No Kings series of events. A gazillion of them across the country. Right now, there's over 2,500 of them planned, all peaceful, underlined, and we just need to get out in the street to show the media, our fellow citizens, our local electeds, that as far as we're concerned here at PDA, we live in a representative democracy, and we don't have kings. We don't do authoritarian, regardless of party affiliation. We don't do authoritarianism, period. So that's what we're talking about here, gang. A wide range of intersectional issues. Just get out there and make something happen. Now, I just tossed into the chat. This is all next Saturday. I just tossed into the chat. There's the primary website, nokings.org. Go there. There's a map. Click on an event near you and show up. Now, if you are part of a core organizing group that's actually running the event locally, one of the 2,500 different people, okay? If you're, well, more than that. If you're one of those folks, give us an email at info@pdamerica.org, okay? So that we can put extra special bandwidth into your event. The only caveat there is, you got to be a core part of the organizational team there, gang, simply because we don't have the bandwidth to put in special push in 2,500 events. We're not that large an entity here. But if you are standing up, that's our solidarity with you, right? If you're volunteering and standing up and putting in the work to make a thing happen, then we will show solidarity with you. And Susan, if you want to drop into the chat the link to a special online event that's taking place as well. Now, let me underline, gang, first and foremost, if you are physically capable of getting out, showing solidarity with all of our people in public, we ask that you do that, please. However, we also know that, and we're very proud of this at PDA, quite frankly, we have differently abled folks in our crew, candidly. So if getting out there at a rally somewhere is just too much of a challenge for you, don't worry about it, because our former executive director, Donna Smith, now the head of our National Advisory Board, is anchoring an event, okay, online, a Zoom thing. Cool. So that everybody, again, a PDA standard here, everybody can participate, okay? So, and yep, Erica's asking for that, and boom, there, Susan. Of course, Susan's got it in the chat because Susan rocks. Thank you for that, Susan. All right, so that's No Kings 101. Alan, are you ready to take back over? Has Alan returned?
I am here, and I was looking at that map, man, and I know that I'm out here in Southern California, and I've spoken at the last couple of these, and I might speak at this one too. I know I'm going to be reporting on it. I've been drafted into my old job as a volunteer, just volunteering to do it. I'm going to be part of the Pacifica Radio National broadcast, and so I'll be talking to people down at the No Kings large demonstration from 2 to 5 in LA, which, by the way, last time was the largest demonstration in the country. I would not be surprised if, say, maybe Chicago outnumbered us in LA. Why is that? Because LA was the focal point of everything around the ICE demonstrations at the time of the last No Kings demo. It was so huge that when I got to where I was going to speak, which was actually in Pershing Square, not in front of City Hall this last time, because they would not allow us to speak from the steps of City Hall like the first hands-off demonstration that was organized, which was the big mass demonstration. The second big one, which was even bigger, was called No Kings, and you could barely move through people to get to the stage. It was so packed. But I'll be doing that from there. And I do want to say this. Look, my old job at KPFK Radio has an event with Tom Hartman at 6 p.m. in Long Beach. The downtown demonstration in LA is 2 to 5. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to scoot on out to Long Beach, where there also, earlier in the day, are No Kings demonstrations down in Long Beach. And I'm going to make it to that Tom Hartman event. You can find out information about that at kpfk.org. And I want to let people know that we're going to hopefully get Tom on one of these town halls soon, because Tom, in fact, Mansour, I'll call you on you in a second if you want to add to this. Tom has a new book out, and it is one heck of a book, folks. It's called The Last American President. And why it's so good is because it's Tom Hartman at his very best, which is he synthesizes all that has led up to how we ended up with this presidency. And in doing so, really highlights the sort of fault lines of how we get out of this. And the critique of American society is building up to this is very, very similar to what I present when I put forward my understanding of how we arrived here at the level of this oligarchy control, and how Trump operates inside that context, and the way out of it too. It's just a brilliant, and Tom is just fantastic with so much American. He's of course differs from me as a thinker, in that his emphasis is on domestic American politics is really, really foregrounded. He just seems to know every detail about all of the political history that's unfolded in this country from 1776 through to the present. And he brings it all to bear in this new book, which is a Penguin published edition. So I think Tom has sort of books that are small presses and major presses. This is a very major press. This is going to be an impactful book and a very important book. And we hope to have Tom on in the coming weeks. But if you're in Los Angeles, in Southern California, in Long Beach, but all of Southern California, on No King's Day, after the demonstrations at 6 p.m. down in Long Beach, check it out at kpfk.org. You'll be able to see Tom. Seeing Tom in person is incredible. And then we'll have him on the town hall soon about this book as soon as we can book him. Mansoor, do you want to say anything about all that?
Thanks, Alan. Yes. So we're going to have our own No King's Day here in Long Beach. Yes We Can Democratic Club Long Beach is one of the two organizers of the event here. And they're going to be coming to the hall where Tom Hartman's talking. It's a Teamsters Union Hall. And we're trying to bring unions back into KPFK and Pacifica to rebuild KPFK and Pacifica. And you've been there for 9 years. It's going to be a fantastic event. Please send people to come and table. We're asking all community organizers to be there. A Palestinian filmmaker will be there. Greg Palast going to be giving a talk. Aaron Kaplan, who's an award-winning journalist, is emceeing the event. And we're going to have a fantastic time, not just with Tom, but with everybody who's going to be there. We want to build up solidarity with community to fight fascism and to fight and to build a society based on social democracy.
Thank you, Mansoor. And I'm happy that I'm not speaking because I love to go to events these days and not have to speak. But I want to get there myself because just to thank Tom, may wrangle him for this town hall with PDA. But I mean, we should take the comments thought, but final thought, Mansoor, as you go.
Yes. So the prices for the event
no, we can't talk about that on this call. You're gonna have to find that out in KPFK.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's working class plus the book is working class. Nobody's making money, but do come support KPFK if so by just attending. Do come. Yeah, and that's it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sorry to cut you off, but we really shouldn't. Even especially with my relationship to KPFK, it's best that we not do any fundraising for other organizations on this call. It's quite a conflict of interest for me personally, so that's why I interrupted there. But Mansoor, I will be there, and Tom Hartman, of course, one of the founding figures of PDA. So, okay, with that, let's just to round off on No Kings before we go to the stack. And Hartzell Gray is with us on stack, and we know his time is tight because he too is running for Congress, as we know. And he maybe can clarify the big shift that happened on his race since we last heard from him. But folks, No King's Day. Look, all of you and everyone you know should, first of all, of course, everyone you know should also be invited to this town hall for next week. And next week, by the way, I think if probably won't be Tom Hartman yet. Ro Khanna will be back in 2 weeks to take questions from everybody. But next week we may have another very high-profile guest. I don't want to say until we get that confirmed. National political figure of a very high order. So tell everybody you know about these town halls. But also, look, everybody here, bring your family, bring friends who maybe wouldn't be attending. Tell your coworkers about No Kings. This event, and as these things are organized, we all have our different thoughts on how they should be organized. Well, this is not a time for any peddling criticism or minor criticisms of anything. This is the right thing to do right now. Broad coalition of Americans, liberals, radicals, look, Republican constitutionalists, everybody should get out on Saturday who wants to live in a society. This is a free society where there's free speech. All of this is under threat by Trumpian authoritarianism right now, like nothing else we've experienced. Calls like this because we have a positive candidate like Aftyn Behn to celebrate and Hartzell in a second to talk to. We shouldn't lose sight of what's going on in this country right now, even when we have this positive example of Aftyn's victory on Tuesday, because there may not be elections soon. And we can have no illusions, even on that front, that's clearly a goal of this hyper-authoritarian. I mean, you look at the Silicon Valley oligarchs who are close to Trump, you look at someone like Stephen Miller, and what their desire is for. It's just never been anything like it, even on the electoral front in American history, the kind of direct disruptive activity that the administration is undertaking to try to distort elections and politics. So we got to get out there for all those reasons and more. The rights of immigrant workers, people who've done the essential labor in our society, increasingly so over the past few decades, that we're all reliant on for social reproduction in our society. And now the right wing is vilifying them in the most dehumanizing and hyper-racist ways possible. All of this has got to come to an end in American society. And the most impactful event to date during Trump 2.0, I believe, was the No Kings demonstration the first time. Let's make this one on Saturday twice as big as that. And with that, and check it all out at nokings.org. Hartzell Gray, and then over to the rest of the stack. How you doing, Hartzell? And bravely,
hello, my brother.
I think
How are you?
bravely joining us. Oh no, the Chiefs play this evening, right?
Yeah, no, this is the warm up to what's going to be a full day in my house here. So this is what gets me going, and then I have to live on bated breath watching my Kansas City Chiefs play. But no, I just wanted to hop on and just say hello. Also, just what a incredible person Aftyn is, right? Just truly incredible, and I am so looking forward to serving alongside Aftyn once we get her in there. And I just wanted to touch on what she was saying and how, in the seat that I'm running now in Missouri, it's Missouri's 4th district. And, she was saying how in Tennessee, how they what once was a heavily Democrat district was cut in 3, literally the exact same thing that they were doing now with my state here in Missouri and Kansas City. Right. We got cut into 3 different districts. And as Aftyn said, which is what I'm learning now on the trail, is that they have played themselves because the energy, the angst, the anger, the passion, it is still reverberating no matter what those district boundaries are. And in our case in Missouri, they wanted to make it a 7-1 Republican to Democrat map. And they're going to play themselves, and they might mess around, and we may have ourselves a 5-3 map, and that's this movement, this wave, I think is going to be a tsunami in 2026, which is going to set the stage for 28 as we build for our project 2029 that we're working on with PDA and fellow progressives as we take back this country. And, hearing with having Tom Hartman on a town hall here coming up, and just I am reinforced and I am reinvigorated knowing that we are made for this moment. So many folks, like you said, had tried to tell us that this was a different kind of Trump wave and how we're just going to sit back. And Trump himself said that he's just shocked how much we've just lied down. And I think that couldn't be any further from the truth. I think this is the moment right now that we have been some of the most activated. And now with groups like PDA and with candidates like Adelita and myself and Aftyn, this is how we activate, we educate, and now we organize. And we need to get more organizers into the positions of power. And so we all know this. I'm just preaching. All I wanted to say was that it's just so great being on the call with you all. And, we're in a district now in the 4th that is an opportunity to flip a seat in what will be the future majority of the Democratic caucus in 2026, or I guess in 27 when we get sworn in. So this has the makings of something truly transformational. And I'm not just talking about any particular seat. I'm talking about this slate that is led in good part by progressive Democrats of America. So I just want to say how much I appreciate you all. And also we have a way if you all wanted to hang out with us this weekend virtually. So I have a national call with a stacked lineup of labor leaders, including Chris Smalls. We've got Lily Greenberg Call, who I believe was also on this town hall at one point. We've got some incredible folks. In fact, let me just pull up my email so I make sure I get it right. We've got Chris Smalls with the Amazon Labor Union, who is just an incredible person who was also on those flotillas.
What day is it?
That is on this Tuesday. It is October 14th. I'm going to drop it in the chat, right?
What time is it? Because we have a rural New Deal organizing call on Tuesday at I think 7 p.m. Eastern. When is yours?
Perfect. And we're going to record ours too, so don't feel like anyone has to go either or. So we've got 5:30 Pacific, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern.
Okay, so that's an hour and a half after ours, so that should actually not conflict.
Yeah, so we got Chris Smalls, Lily Greenberg call, Michael Greenberg from Client Defiance, and also we have Sanjay, who is the president of National College Democrats.
Oh, I know
And
Sanjay.
also,
I've been doing a lot of great work with Sanjay. He's a great guy.
Sanjay is amazing. The lineup's great. So
And
if
I know
anyone
all the
wants to
other
hang
people
out,
too. Yeah.
if anyone wants to come and hang out with us on Tuesday virtually, come and say hi and listen to some amazing
Can
folks
you
who
put,
are
do you have a chat you can link you put in the chat?
just dropped in the chat.
Great. And we have of course, our chapter leaders call tomorrow for PDA. And at that, we're going to be having the chapter leaders invite people to our Tuesday call. And on Tuesday, we don't have a link for it yet, but we'll be putting it out nationally on Tuesday morning for our Rural New Deal call. Maybe what we can do.
Can I tell you how much that my folks they are losing it over the rule. We've been kind of teasing out the Rural New Deal with our folks in this new district. They are pumped. It is incredible because it's just, I mean, we keep talking about how like there is no such thing, I think, as a, well, there's no such thing as an urban rural divide, right? It's just intentionality. And a Rural New Deal, I don't think is a brand new thing. It's just an extension of progressivism, just intentionally for our rural folks. And I just think it's just a beautiful way to bridge so much of what we preach as progressives. And it's just, for folks who are now hearing this for the first time in my district, just know it's resonating and we're going to win. We're winning on it. The Rural New Deal is going to take us to DC, my friend.
And while of course the historical politics of Kansas City and Nashville are different, and of course there's differences between rural Missouri and rural Tennessee. By the way, probably most notable in Tennessee historically in the 20th century was Missouri didn't have a TVA, right?
Exactly.
Basically a socialized energy grid that transformed the whole region right there, thanks to the Roosevelt administration, and how central that was to the politics of Tennessee for so long and remains so. Such a big issue there. But basically, there's an incredible parallel between the district, as you noted, that you're running in now that it's been redrawn, and the district that was redrawn a while ago that now Aftyn is running in. They have again a portion, a third of a previously blue urban core, Democratic urban core, and then extends out through some suburbs, more Republican leaning or Democratic leaning, but somewhat split, down into rural areas that have been overwhelmingly Republican. And so your district has so many of the same issues and framings as Aftyn does. And it's going to be incredible for you to learn from Aftyn's race because it precedes it, and then to move into the general election in 2026, where, again, per no kings, per the public feeling appalled at what the Trump administration is doing to our constitutional republic and to our economy and destroying rural economies, the amount of traction that your campaign is going to have in a similar manner to Aftyn's is incredible. It's such great work for all of us to be participating in as we save this country, save free lives and free societies and free speech for all of us. Always great to see you, Hartzell.
And we do it with PDA. We do it together with our brothers and sisters at PDA, one step at a time, in tandem together.
Thank you so much, and great for you to join us as always. And we'll see you in the next few weeks. And but they always, whenever you see one of our guests too, jump on, and I'll make sure I get you to have a little dialogue going with them too.
Send me Aftyn's email. We'll circle back because I want to chat.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Definitely.
Okay. Yep. Bye. And okay, well, up next, let's go to Mila Reason. You've been very patient. Then Mickey and Jim and Moji and Mila. What's on your mind?
Oh, there, I'm unmuted now, and thank you. And by the way, as a KPFK staff representative on the local station board and on the National Board of Pacifica, I want to thank you for promoting the Tom Hartman event coming up in Long Beach this next Saturday. It should be fabulous, and people can go to kpfk.org to learn more about that. And I'm sorry I missed by not getting on to raising my virtual hand too soon to talk to Aftyn. Tennessee has two 50-year-old nuclear power plants that have been accumulating high-level radioactive waste along the banks of the Tennessee River for close to 50 years. And so I'm hoping that that's an issue that she will look into addressing.
Does the Tennessee River flow west into the Mississippi?
I'm sorry?
Does the Tennessee River flow west into the Mississippi?
I couldn't tell you that. I'm sorry. I'll have to look that up. But I wanted to say in terms of a rural New Deal for Hartselle and for Afton, that there's a tremendous project going on in Minnesota right now that has unified Republicans and Democrats and farmers, and it's a wind power project that is really phenomenal. I sent Hartselle, I sent you an email about it a while ago if you're listening. And I think it's something that that could be incorporated into this idea of a rural New Deal. Something that appeals to people across party lines.
Thank you.
Mila, I got your email and I've actually sent it to my team. Thank you so much. It has been fascinating. I appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, the Rural New Deal is committed to promoting and uplifting renewable energy sources on all fronts.
Right.
So,
okay.
yeah, thank you. That's great. Thank you, Milo. And let's now go to Jim and then Mickey. So Jim Dorencott and then Mickey. And then Moji, then Nina. Jim, please unmute. Jim Dorencott.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. So being a Vietnam veteran, I was very curious to see how other veterans were responding to the Charlie Kirk murder. And what I was surprised to learn was there's a fair number of them that are professionally offended by the story coming from the FBI. It's not that they're necessarily going to become progressives, but they are distancing themselves from the Republicans. I was on a podcast in which there was about 7,000 people. They took a poll, 70% want to be neither Democrat or Republican. A lot of these people, lifelong Republicans. So this is really something that I wouldn't have expected to find. And so if people are with people who start talking about it, listening and understanding what they feel bad about. In other words, they feel like they're being lied to. They feel like they're being deceived. When they came in supporting Trump and his gang, they were promised things that aren't being delivered. So there's a lot of dissatisfaction in those camps right now. And whatever we can do with that, I think, is to our best effort.
Yeah, for people who don't know, a large number of commentators are looking closely at the details of what happened there and are feel skeptical about the official explanation, even on the level of like stuff like ballistics, right? I'm not following it. All I want to say is that some people, including people who I generally, turn to and have, trust in their sense of what's authentic, what's real, what's not, what's true, what's false. Like Kyle Kalinske is very into this. He's partners with Crystal Ball, does secular talk. Again, I'm not following this. I'm not promoting one perspective or another, but it certainly is something of a phenomenon. So people can look into that as they wish. I tend not to look at these things too much because, what some people would call conspiracy theories, right? Whether this falls under that category or not, I don't know. I tend not to look at it too much because, usually if you look at how people are approaching subjects like that, they're looking at usually a rather right-wing oriented nexus of power producing misinformation. Well, I'm already politically opposed to that right-wing nexus of power, so I don't need further prodding along those lines, is how I take it. And as to the details of specific events, people lose a lot of time to it. I focus on positive organizing. But again, this is a phenomenon. I think that, Jim, that's what I'm referring to, right? The skepticism about the details of the assassination. Jim might be muted or gone now. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. People like Candace Owens.
Well, Candace Owens is
really
certainly
with a big following,
not a source that I
part
trust.
of this resurgence.
But again, there's some left-wing people who are buying into it too. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for that. Okay, over to Mickey, and please unmute. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Hi, everybody. How are you? I just wanted to remind us that we still have huge amount of stuff going on with protecting our elections. GREEP usually meets on Mondays at 5 o'clock. And we have enormous amounts of stuff going on with people stealing and manipulating voting. Don't forget how many people's have been removed from the different voter rolls. And there's a tremendous amount of effort, but we see people rolling their eyes and, oh no, that's not going to happen. And listen, I told you a long time ago, I'm positive he's doing everything he can to, basically cancel elections. Witness all of the uh, National Guards being brought into the different cities, and the 1984 creation of burning of cities that doesn't exist. So please make sure that all of our people who are running and all of the people advocating remember that we have to be vigilant and get on board with the boards of elections and really pressure them to keep the paper ballots, to tell all the candidates not to concede if they are losing, and to have them demand a recount, to have the boards of elections make sure if they're getting reports of people moving, that they have to turn around and do everything they can to reach the people who they're trying to remove from the rolls to make sure this isn't bogus. It's a very, very big situation. And I think the majority of us are just not paying attention to it. And he and his minions are doing a pincer movement on how to steal the elections from us. So
I couldn't agree with you more, Mickey. I think as you could see, I suggested my agreement with what you said about 5 minutes ago on the call, and I agree with you entirely. Now, at PDA, there is we have a 501c4 called Progressives for Democracy in America, and there's a completely unaffiliated and firewalled off operation called the Tim Carpenter Institute, which is a 501c3 research and educational foundation that, as a 501c3, can have some relation to the 501c4, but not this body that hosts this event, which is Progressive Democrats of America, 527 Federal PAC. I do know, though, that the Carpenter Institute, 1 year out from Election Day 2026, is planning an official launch of an electoral education project pertaining to exactly this offensive against democracy that's ongoing in America right now. And it's very real. What Mickey said about the purging of voting rolls, I mean, even the numbers of people involved in some states make your jaw drop. And I agree with you in terms of the intent of the administration. So look forward to that. And of course, the GREEP call is every Monday, and we send out a national email Monday morning about it. So yeah, stay on top of that, everybody. Certainly encourage everyone to do that. Moji Aga, welcome, and how are you doing?
Hi, thank you. I am in Moji in Boulder, Colorado, and you may have already heard me talking about chambers of compassion. I have an idea that is somewhat funny, but can be very useful to No Kings, as well as all the other gatherings that various candidates hold. That is called Serve Chicken Soup. Actually serve chicken soup.
Yeah, I could use some numbers, yeah.
Yeah, in a bowl. I mean, in a big pot, and then you can make that, say, if you want to ridicule somebody else, you could say, this person, we are giving you chicken soup. This person is giving you, whatever soup, poison soup. But this is a populist idea, positive populism, democratic populism, in contrast with ideological populism. So I thought to bring it up to your attention, serve actual chicken soup with big signs. Come have your chicken soup. And, and it makes people smile and get a little cup of chicken soup in their stomach. At the same time, you can give them some educational materials.
Well, thank you so much. And if you do go to the No Kings event in Boulder, spread the idea around and have a great time out there too. And
well, I try, but I am just raising it to you guys because you have a much more bandwidth.
Oh, sure. Thank you. I love the idea. Thank you. I do want to say this though too, about No King's Day, and I think everybody understands this. The organizers understand this too, and there are different coalitions that organize these events, but even in Portland, it's very clear in Portland that the Trump administration has targeted Portland because they're looking for a conflagration. And fortunately, and apparently this even goes to something that is the closest thing of a organized Antifa club in the country, which is Rose City. Portland's known as the Rose City Antifa. They are even aware that that's what they're looking for, that they're fishing for this. So especially on No King's Day, we at PDA should say explicitly, we encourage everyone to attend, and to attend as beacons of nonviolence, as people who are there to in no way see any conflagration with law enforcement, ICE, the occupying military, or anywhere where that may be the case. These have to be peaceful events. The Trump administration's wishes will be fulfilled if there's tear gas and conflagration at any of the No Kings events next Saturday. So let's avoid that, because it does not serve our ends because of their manipulation of anything like that would take place. Vina Kali, you're up. What's on your mind, Vina?
This may just be my opinion, but I look at all the confusion that Trump is causing. He's making us believe that our neighbors are not our friends, they're our enemies. So he brings in all these military people into all these cities. And what I think he's actually doing is bringing them in so he can call martial law so they won't be an election.
Right. Well, I mean, it's terrifying because ICE, with its $50,000 signing guarantee, is practically, I mean, it's set up to be an employment project for the Proud Boys, that cast of people in our society, so that he has these armed, basically Gestapo-esque right-wing thugs. And certainly in so many different nooks and crannies in the United States, their presence on election day will depress turnout. In advance, people's fear of them will depress turnout. So all of this serves the distortion of U.S. elections and pending elections, possibly as soon as a few weeks from now on November 4th, 2025, possibly in the Tennessee 7 on December 2nd.
And the other thing
both certainly forward in 2026. Go ahead, Vina. Sorry.
The other thing that he's pushing is small modular reactors at the nuclear facilities, saying that they're smaller, cleaner, and safer, and it's not. It's just on a larger scale, and it's still bad. So he's pushing this in all of our communities right now. We're military production. And I live and have fought the Portsmouth gas diffusion plant in Piketon, Ohio for over 40 years now. I have written every major story there.
We should probably do a whole segment on this coming up soon, because I do think it's something the PDAers need to be better informed about, because it's flying under the radar screen, as you suggest. And again, there's all this sort of hype around these small nuclear that they're pushing as some, it's also, why the hell are they pushing this shit? Sorry for my language, everybody. I should have said that. Why the hell are they pushing this when we have renewable energy and the cost? Of course, there's the reason right there. The cost of. There's just no money windfall and continual money windfall with renewable energy systems. And so
Centrus just gave Piketon $1.5 billion to build these two small modular reactors, and also they want to put a experimental one up in Ohio State.
Wow.
And our governors and all the people in Ohio and our reps are pushing for this. And it doesn't matter that the people in Piketon had the highest rate of cancer in the nation. I mean, Joe Mangano said he's never seen anything as bad as this fight here for the cancer victims.
Well, thank you for that. And this is a subject we'll have to bring on and focus on soon, Vina. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Mila, for your thoughts in the comment. And thank you, Vina. And we'll go to Isaac and then to Nina, and then we're going to head off to family time, folks. So we're closing the stack at Nina. For everybody who puts up their hand after Nina will get onto the stack in family time, but not before family time. So Isaac, you're up, and then Nina.
Hi, Alan. Can you hear me?
I can, and thank you for your patience. Yes.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Who's
Hey,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Isaac Lieberman, registered nurse. My biggest claim to fame is that I was top 10 nationwide on Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign's leaderboard. I'm still working full-time at LA County Hospital night shifts, so I'm very busy. But after the SCOTUS corrupt ruling July 4th in Trump v. US, we had to respond, so we launched impeachscotus.org. Please visit the fledgling website, spread the word wide. Hopefully we will, the site will connect Tom Steyer or another deep pocket supporter, can provide resources with a tax deductible donation to our 501c3 nonprofit to help build out the website and grow that movement. But I'm also hoping and wondering why PDA is not discussing November 5th in DC. While we're promoting No Kings on October 18th, that's great. But Alan, has PDA discussed collaborating with Refuse Fascism to promote the November 5th call to action?
We haven't been contacted about that, so please have them contact us.
Will do. I'm sorry, you said you have been discussing it, but they
No, we
haven't
haven't. We have not been contacted about that. That's the day after Election Day, where Mamdani and of course New Jersey and Virginia and California will happen. But yeah, whoever has an event on November 5th, have them please contact us and reach out to us, and we'll consider it. Okay.
We'll do so. What's the best way to contact you?
A few ways. Info at pdamerica.org, Alan at pdamerica.org. Actually, those two should be enough.
Great. I'll have them contact you right away.
Thank you so much, Isaac. And Isaac actually mentioned Tom Steyer. Steyer has put out, who, in all honesty, I hadn't heard from in quite a while. Of course, he ran for president in 2020. He has put out in California some rather effective ads, I felt, in support of Prop 50, which is good to see that he's doing that with his fortune.
Yeah, 12 million he put into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never happy about a world in which we're reliant upon, and I think the entire American progressive left, as it reforms coming out of this terrible phase of Trumpian era, we have to figure out a way to get our, as it were, progressive advocacy right now operating in sort of a nonprofit dominated world where, look, people can believe that they're somehow going to be supported at a high level by multiple small donations. We've seen even with Bernie Sanders having his campaigns be supported that way, but that's different. That's a presidential campaign. That's the main stage event every 4 years on the American political stage. That hasn't carried over to support for nonprofits. They are overwhelmingly reliant upon money from rich people and major donors, where of course wealth is concentrated now in our society. And it really has skewed the way the progressive left has operated. And we have to be serious about this. If for a short-term interim phase, we still need support from major donors, hopefully there'll be enough of them that will support our efforts to get out from under this process. And of course, quite frankly, we have to redistribute the wealth of the society so that we don't have a skewed system with all the money at the top. And let's be honest, folks, there are some do-good organizations like Patriotic Millionaires that directly recognizes how imbalanced that is. If you're relying on a progressive movement that needs to be supported in between elections by major donors, it's really unlikely that then the balance of the movement is going to focus on wealth redistribution, which is what we need more than probably anything else long-term in society. We can't have a democracy with an oligarchic structure. By the way, that's pretty much a central thesis of Tom Hartman's book. Thank you, Isaac. We got to move on to
I
Nina.
agree with everything you just said, but as long as we've got a Supreme Court that strikes down the laws that the legislature produces to try to stop the bribery and the corruption, we're stuck. So
No,
that's
thank you.
why
Thank you.
impeachscotus.org.
No, for sure. No, thank you. Well, everybody check out that website, impeachscotus.org, because, actually, Isaac is right. And I think we're going to see tragically, but realistically, and we have to not view it as tragedy, but it's something we just understand so that we can act against it. We're going to see the Supreme Court very likely put forward some horrible decisions that are going to support the Trump administration in the coming weeks. Nina Singer, you're up. Please unmute.
Can you hear me?
You can, Nina.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Nina in Florida. I just had a prediction. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we had a triple swearing in for Hartzell, Aftyn, and Adelita? That would really knock them off their side there.
Hartzell's not running for office until November 2026.
Oh, that's November 20th, but Adelita and then Aftyn, once she get her over the hump. Well, we do that. I signed up to phone bank for her as well as for PDA. Thank you, Mike Fox. But anyways, we all have to rally what they're saying about the No Kings as a hate rally, which is definitely not true. They're trying to scare us. We're going to outnumber them as we are. And people are asking in the chat about a virtual rally. Yes, there are two. One's out of North Carolina, one's out of the Boston area on Saturday morning. So please check the No Kings, the site for nokings.org and put in virtual, and that'll give you those two available. We have to outnumber these people. It was great last time, and it's all high-spirited resistance, but it was also fun and it's also peaceful. All over the country, we have to outnumber them with the voting. We have to basically tell people not to stay home. I'm in a no voting county, but I went to a virtual town hall in my county with over 300 people the other day with Lois Frankel and Greg Landsman from Ohio. It was awesome. For this county, yes, every person out to vote. Paper ballots, yes. Trying to get rid of the paper ballots, not going to work. We all just have to stay forward. I'm fired up. I'm never stopping. I'm never backing down. I have friends and family members who are going to No Kings again. I'm just passing the word to everybody I know.
Thank you, Nina. You're the best. And I'll throw in there too. They're attacking mail-in ballots even. Trump wants
mail-in ballots. That's worse.
Okay, Nicole and Jennifer. We're going to go to family time now.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you so much. We're going to go to the family time, and you'll be at top of the stack in family time, as I announced earlier. So Jennifer and Nicole are top of the stack, Mike Fox. But I'm going to put a little bow and a ribbon on this part of the PDA Town Hall. We especially want to thank Aftyn Behn. And we're going to say, go Aftyn Behn. Everybody at PDA, let's get behind Aftyn Behn just as we get behind Hartzell Gray. But Aftyn Behn is up first in our next congressional race on December 2nd. And we have, of course, elections coming up. We've endorsed Zohran Mamdani. New York PDA has. Zohran Mamdani has been endorsed by them as the mayor of New York. It's also been endorsed by our 501c4 Progressives for Democracy in America. And then we are supporting Democratic candidates across Virginia and New Jersey. And we are supporting Prop 50 in California, all of that taking place on November 4th. Aftyn Behn's special election is December 2nd. So thank you to Aftyn Behn. Thank you to Mike Fox, Hartzell Gray, and all of the people who raised their hands and spoke. Thank you to the support staff with Susan and Mike, and we got so many Mikes. But Mike Fowler, Mike Olis, of course, Mike Fox, and Jim Langford as always. So thank you to all of you, and thank you to Aftyn Behn, and we'll be back next week with another PDA Town Hall. Stay tuned for Family Time.